Hi, ninth grade English. Mr. Good here. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to my backyard. Uh, we're going to be going over the answers for module, excuse me, for module 4, and we're going to be looking at the content for the second section of or the second half rather of the Odyssey, which is very much condensed. I think it's 3 sections. So we're going to be looking at the beggar and the faithful dog, the next section of the text here. When Odysseus actually returns home to Ithaca and he has the chance to be reunited with his wife and his son. So we're going to look at on the screen here module 4, and we're going to be looking at the answers for the study guide questions. So we went through the the adjective section here with the writing focus and the journal entry. Many of you used lists, and that's okay for your module 4 prompt, and that's perfectly acceptable. Some of you went and tried to do 5 different sentences with different adjectives. That's fine, but your answers were acceptable. The Scylla and Charybdis section should have been entertaining. We're going to go through the answers for that section in a moment, but it should have been entertaining for you. The teacher notes is a very good, very good resource to be able to use, and the video I believe is very helpful as well. So I hope you were able to check those out. Let's look at the answer key. So the Odyssey Module 4 answer key. This here. Let's go blue today. Okay, all right, let's go blue color. Maybe I can change the size too. No, I guess not. Okay, so number 1. Who told Odysseus to avoid the sirens? On page 916, the next peril lies between 2 headlands. Circe continues her warning. So Circe is the one that warns Odysseus about Scylla and Charybdis. Okay, and Odysseus doesn't tell his men about Scylla. He can't, and here's why. 918. Well, he could have, but he wouldn't have worked that well for him. If he has to survive, he can't tell his men. On page 918, the Ithacans set off. Odysseus does not reveal Circe's last prophecy, that he will be the only survivor of their long journey. If he were to tell his men they were essentially going to die as they go through the Strait of Scylla and Charybdis, then his men would probably back out, and his men probably wouldn't help him. So he has to keep that close to the vest, and he has to keep that kind of like a secret as he brings his men to face their own deaths. He will survive, and he will basically survive alone. Describing Scylla and Charybdis. Hopefully, some of the images you got in the text were helpful here. But describing rather Scylla and Charybdis. Scylla on page 916. Some people compare her to the Hydra. If you're familiar with any other kind of mythology, Scylla, page 916. Her legs, and there are 12 of them, are like great tentacles, unjointed, and upon her serpent necks are borne 6 heads, like nightmares of ferocity, with triple serried rows of fangs and deep gullets of black death. Not a pretty looking creature, pretty intimidating. 12 legs, 6 heads, not a very welcoming creature. And then after Odysseus and his men venture through the strait of which is a cave, essentially a small body of water like a canal inside of a cave is where Scylla lives. And once they get through the den of Scylla, they get into the maelstrom of Charybdis. And on page 917, Charybdis is described as Charybdis lurks below to swallow down, I should say swallow down the dark sea tide. 3 times from dusk to dawn to dusk, she spews it up and sucks it down again 3 times, a whirling maelstrom. She is a whirlpool. For any Star Wars buffs out there rather, the Sarlacc pit is a similar kind of creature. The Sarlacc is similar to Charybdis. So think about a whirlpool, water circling around, and as the water drains, giant mouth comes up, and that monster that lurks below is Charybdis, eating the men that remain. So the men that make it through and past Scylla, they still have to face Charybdis, and Charybdis is the demise of many of Odysseus's men. But Odysseus survives, and he survives alone. Here, look at number 4. What happens to 6 of Odysseus's men? On page 921, then Scylla made her stroke, whisking 6 of my best men from the ship. I happened to glance aft at ship and oarsmen and caught sight of their arms and legs dangling overhead. So they're essentially in the mouth of Scylla. Their legs and arms are dangling out of her mouth. She ate them as they shrieked there in her den. So, not a kind creature whatsoever. That's who we have there, and that's what happens to 6 of Odysseus's men. So, those are the study guide questions for the Odyssey Module 4. Uh, Debatably one of the most action-packed sections of the Odyssey here, but it does get better also as we move forward here in the second section. So, as we look at Odyssey Module 5, these are books 13 through 20, illustrated right there for you. And what we're going to look at right here is the writing focus. So the writing focus that you'll see here, conjunctions. The role of a conjunction is to connect words, phrases, and clauses. I would like you to try to use them in your prompt. The link that is provided is for, I believe, a vocabulary video. Let's check and make sure. I'm not sure that the last one worked the way I had intended, but this one should. Hopefully an ad doesn't come up for Grammarly, but we'll see what happens. Sometimes that happens. So yeah, there it is. Dude, did you guys get the text? All right, so there is a video here to help you with conjunctions. The video uses conjunctions throughout. Okay, so pay attention to what words are connecting there. Okay, and then you're going to try to respond using your own. Part 2. This is right out of the text. It's part 2, coming home, the beggar and the faithful dog. A special note here that you're going to want to check out. And again, the next video that you see, the teacher reading and annotating is going to be helpful. But please, 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 when you get to this section here, hopefully it pops up for me. But when you get to this section, it's going to be very, very, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. It's going to be very, very important that you read all of this, okay? Don't just skip the italicized text, all right? You're going to want to check this all out because we're looking at content from 1, 2, 3. Hopefully, now it doesn't want to circle. Okay, but you're looking at content. No, it's going to do this again. You're looking at content from 4 books, okay? And Odysseus is going to be reunited with his son, and his son's name is Telemachus. Okay, some people call him Telly, but Telemachus, right here, that's how you say that, Telemachus. So you're going to want to make sure that you read this information and then the actual content. Oh, couldn't load that one. But the actual content here, the beggar and the faithful dog. This is what you're going to be looking through. It's not going to load right now for me, but you're going to be looking through there as it loads. Okay, so that's where you're going to find your study guide answers. In this section, okay, you're reading the italicized stuff and the information found on page 928 and forward. Okay, so you have some images here, but let's think about what Odysseus is facing. He's been gone when he returns home. He's been gone for right around 20 years. Okay, and if you're gone for 20 years, it's assumed that you're probably dead. What has happened to his land is that it's been overrun with suitors who are trying to get with his wife. Uh, his son has never lost faith that his father would be coming back, but he's kind of doubting. He's kind of doubting that his father's alive. His wife has never lost faith, but she has to face all of these people trying to claim his land, trying to claim Odysseus's land. And she doesn't want to be with them, but they don't go away. All right. So the rules that Odysseus had laid forth before he left are not the same rules that exist now, 20 years later. So he can't just show up and say, okay, I'm back. I'm ready to take back my throne. It doesn't work that way. So he has to face all of these suitors and he has to figure out a way to disguise himself, because if he shows up like that, he's greatly outnumbered and he's not going to survive. However, he comes up with a plan with the help of Athena. He comes up with a plan and he will be disguised as someone. Okay. The first section you read, the beggar and the faithful dog, it is kind of sad. It talks about Odysseus's dog Argos and how Argos recognizes Odysseus. And spoiler here, his dog doesn't make it, but his dog has waited for him for a long, long time. So those of you who have pets, uh, when you leave for a long period of time, a couple days, a week, and you come back, your dog knows or your pet knows when you're there, right? So you can be disguised as all sorts of different things, but you have a relationship with your pet, as does Odysseus. His dog recognizes him, and that's the last thing his dog does before his dog passes away. So his dog's been waiting for him, and that's a little bit symbolic. The part 3 watch section here. This is the teacher explained version of the same section of text. Highly recommend that you check that out. I think you should. Um, some of you are Googling answers and typing them in the study guide section. Not a real good way to gain any kind of knowledge. Uh, this right here, the teacher reading and explaining version, is much better than just Googling some kind of nonsensical answer and pasting it in the study guide questions. But you're going to do what you're going to do, I guess. And then the study guide questions, there are 6 of them. Okay, there are 6 of them for the beggar and the faithful dog. The resources are below. Again, the summaries are incredibly important. Module 5 is books 13 through 20 in those summaries. Okay, so it might be an extra 15 minutes of video if you want to check that out. All right, so there is your content for Module 5. As we look at the due dates here, we're looking at May 23rd at 11:59 p.m. We're winding down. We only have a couple more modules left. I'm going to have to condense some. I just got word this morning that June 5th is going to be the last day for content. I'm going to try to keep all the content happening before then, and we'll talk about what the next couple weeks will look like. But so far, you guys have done an excellent job staying the course. You've done an excellent job trying to maintain some sort of education. I hope that I'm not overwhelming people. I feel that I'm not, and by the looks of it, I think it's about 95% of you are turning in what you need to turn in and doing it adequately, and that's thumbs up from me for sure. So I'm glad that you're doing what you need to be able to do. Again, if you have questions, reach out to me. My office hours can be found in the Google Classroom page, and that's really all I have for you today. I look forward to talking with you next week, and then we'll move forward from there to sort of wrap up the year in a couple weeks. Okay, so again, questions, emails, the best way to get a hold of me. Look out for Odyssey Module 5. It'll be coming out shortly, and you'll find out after viewing the video. Okay, so have a great week, and I look forward to interacting with you in the future.